Before I start the video, let me just give a quick update about Hunter's Fantasy. Due to the title being far too close to a Disney movie, the Disney studio has actually had a copyright claim on it, resulting the video to be banned in certain countries. It's not banned in the US, but I don't know where else it's banned at. So just stay tuned for June 2nd at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time for when Hunter's Fantasy releases. Anyways, back to the video. So recently, I finally released my animated short, The Lego Apprentice. After over 3.5 months of production, it is finally finished. And, well, this video was made to point out how the video was made, and probably some things that you never noticed in it. So, let's just get into it. So first of all, the Mickey Mouse animations that you see in it took the longest of everything else to make. Because I was doing this on a school-issued Chromebook, this was taking a much longer time. What I would do was, I would take a screenshot from a scene in the movie, many screenshots. I'd email them to myself, download them, put them in the Google Canvas app, trace over them, download those pictures, put them in a GIF maker, and then send that back to me, where I would take screenshots from the GIF, put them in stop motion studio, and then ultimately I have an animation. There's probably an easier way to do this, but that was just my method for the time being. After the first animation, it all seemed pretty simple. It was a rinse and repeat operation, and I got all of it done in 3 months. Some of the animations took only a day to make, like this one at the very end of the short. Yeah. But anyways, let's go to the beginning. The first shot with me just, doing all of this. That was hard to film because I didn't have a lot of room on my green screen to do it, resulting in part of my hand looking like it's being cut off in the shot. Yeah, that's how low budget I am. As you can see, I'm literally just behind I'm just in front of a green screen right now that takes up like this much of my screen. See how my hands are cutting off right here? That's how much room I have to work with. The stop motion part's just pretty simple. I just make the set and then I just make the figure move around. Now, you've probably already noticed this, but this part right here is a complete nod to the Godzilla ARG. Now, there is not a clue in this part. You can rewind the video as much as you want, slow it down to the slowest speed, but there is not a clue there. I was actually planning on putting a clue in this part, just having like split-second text show up on the screen, but since technically somebody already solved it, I just decided to leave it at that. I was gonna do a part where my character takes off the Play-Doh hat and just puts it down, but I realized that the storyline that I had in mind, this hat would appear invisible most of the time. That's why in this part, when he puts the hat on, it just disappears on his head. And the story behind this is when he puts the hat on, he suddenly has the powers to turn into any character that's ever been made, which is why he turns into Mickey Mouse in this short film. I was gonna have a Lego broomstick be used in this part, but I thought maybe a stick, just a really long tube, would be better for it because, well, it'd be easier to change all the parts out, like it starts from the legs and works up, turning it into my Lego figure. And yeah, this part right here with the very first Mickey animation, there are 3 different versions of this. There was the first one, which was just a test shot. There were no shadows at all made on him. And basically it looked unrealistic because he wasn't interacting with his own background. The second alternation of this is you have the shadow far behind him, but it doesn't connect to the legs. Which is why this third alternation, the most recently re-uploaded version of it, has just the fuzzy black mass underneath him, indicating that he is casting his shadow. Even though he's just an outline, he's still casting a shadow. This next shot right here with them just walking in front of the background, there were 3 layers of that made. There was first the backdrop, which was just this picture right here, and then there were the individual pillars, which you can see right here, and then you've got the animated characters moving across it. Mine Lego character was just a loop of him doing a walking cycle, and then there was just it was an all black photo made, but I masked it to where it looked like a circle, which is why you have that sort of dome appearance as they're walking over it. And then you just have the pillars going in front of the camera. And yeah, then there goes to stop motion, and then that layer thing comes again where they're going from one side of the picture to the other with that little floor at the bottom moving along with it. And then we get to this part right here where he's just like dancing down the stairs. I was originally going to have a Mickey animation for that, but since I was on a time crunch because I don't get to use my Chromebook over the summer, I decided to just scrap that animation and just do the Lego version of him instead. I realized one problem I had with it. I never moved the arms during the whole sequence. But I just thought to leave it at that because, you know, he's doing the can-can as he's going down the stairs and all the way to the chair. This was the first video where I actually worked on scenes out of order. This scene right here was made before this scene, and then this scene with the bucket and the whirlpool, that was made far before the rest of the short film was actually made. And I find that pretty easy to work with. You get placeholder images that work their way up to those scenes. You have to keep the music synced up with it. At times, the music would become unsynced with these already made shots, but I learned to work around with them, and it still turned out great. This dream sequence, on the other hand, was also pretty easy to make. I just drew the cliff, I drew the stars, the waves coming up, and also the Mickey animations, which there are still two alternations of this one. There's the one without the shadow, and then there's the one with the shadow, but the different lighting on the character. And then this shot right here I really like, with the lightning changing out the characters, like during the flashes of lightning it switches from Mickey to the Lego character, and then at the end of it it's just a rotoscope of the Lego character moving with the original Mickey animation, which I really like. The flooding scenes, that was made with just, you know, the base plate and the Play-Doh and half the body in the water. Just the whole thing. And then there comes this shadow animation where Mickey chops up the broom for the Lego character. This is the only time in the whole segment where you can actually see the other moving Lego character embodying the broomstick, which kind of adds a bit of lore to that. And you know, that was a pretty interesting shot to make as well. Then there's this scene right here where he's going back to the door and there's the blinding light coming in. If you look closely in that image, you can actually see that a normal lantern was used in that. Yeah, as you can see, this was used for that. Kind of messed up my green screen a bit. The flooding scenes, that was just using a moving image of a still Lego board just rising up, and the opacity of it was low. Pretty simple, you know. And then this part right here with the flooding hallway, that was the last animation that I ever made in this short. I still had plenty of time to work on this before I turned my Chromebook in for the year, so I just decided, why not make an extra little scene? Just a hallway flooding, and then they just come in on the little raft coming into frame. It actually worked out pretty well. Then there's the ending shots with me coming back in the frame. That was much different than the beginning because this green screen I'm currently standing in front of is a whole different section of the house where I could actually have a floor to it, so you could actually see my feet moving without having to blend in with a normal background, which was a pretty big problem at the beginning when I'm walking up the stairs. I was just on my bed in front of a white wall, and it actually cut my head off, even though it looks like I'm just bending my head down a lot. So yeah, my head was standing up completely, just the chroma key cut my head off in that frame. And then there's the ending shot where we actually learn that the magic of the hat has not completely disappeared yet, as the Lego character still turns into Mickey as he's going out of, the frame and going back to work. So that was it for this video of how the Lego Apprentice was made and what you missed. Just keep in mind Hunter's Fantasy does come out on June 2nd at 12 p.m. Central Time. So I hope to see you guys there for the premiere. Anyways, thank you all for watching the video. See you in the next one. Goodbye.